Hi again, Ray Bauer, founder and brewmaster of Soo Brewing Company, 223 West Portage Avenue in Sioux, Michigan. We got our federal brewer's notice from the TTB branch of the federal government. They regulate such things, and now as soon as we get the equipment in here, we are ready to brew. It isn't in yet because we still have to do the floor, but as soon as we get it in here, we can brew. We can't sell it because we got to wait for state approval to do that. The state paperwork has been filed, and they don't come in until after we get everything set up, and then they look around and say, yeah, it's okay, then you can sell it. But we can actually brew before we get state approval, and we hope that that will be coming, I think within 70 days is the limit on that. So with this being the 21st, that means it could not possibly be any later than the end of January. Our original plan to make wine in the beginning, we are not going to be able to do that. We could have applied for a small winemaker's license along with our federal brewer's notice, but that would have taken more time. And obviously, we're very excited and we're ready to get going on the beer, and we didn't want to take any more time applying for the wine license. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up with just beer, and then we'll apply for the small winemaker's license down the road. And I'm 100% certain that we're going to get that sooner than later. But in the beginning, we're going to have just beer, along with the soft drinks and such. Our floor plan is just about finalized. We've been through so many versions of the floor plan. I quit counting at 6. And then after that, the other floor plans were mainly variations of previous floor plans. But I think we got it ready now, and it's ready to go to the city for approval. They know it's coming, so hopefully it won't take them very long to approve that. I have all the faith in the world that the floor plan will be acceptable. That's why we've done it so many times. Before we finalized the floor plan for the brewery, I found out that there was a brewery downstate in Grand Rapids, a place called Hopcat, that actually has our exact brewing equipment, which is kind of rare because the system we bought, which is a Harbin Handy 3.5 barrel system, is used mainly in Europe. So there aren't that, there are enough of them available, but we didn't realize that there was anything that close that I could go to. So I called those folks down there and I asked them if I could brew with them, and they said that was cool, and I went down, and Jeff and Jake, the brewers at Hopcat Brewing, they were very hospitable and showed me how the equipment goes. So I've actually been there through a brew cycle. I can show you what we're doing. I believe starting maybe Monday, we're going to start I wouldn't say the construction, but the destruction of what we have in here, because until we get the approval to build from the city, we can't really put up any walls, but we can take down walls. So if you would follow me, we can see what we're going to do. This is pretty much the way Soo Brewing Company is going to be laid out. This is the back door, but actually I think most of our local clientele is going to come here through the back door because that's where our parking lot is. We have plenty of parking available, hopefully. The parking lot certainly is big enough. So we've got the main walkway here. None of this is going to change. That's a bathroom that will remain the men's room. This is a small office here that is actually going to be converted into the women's room. Through here you see some more office space. That wall is going to have to go because we have a giant walk-in cooler that's going to be put in here, like a refrigeration room. It'll go pretty much from that wall there to here, which is a little bit more than 18 feet, and then 10 feet that way. We're going to put the serving tanks in here. They're like glorified kegs. They're like, you know how kegs feed the tap line in a regular bar. Well, this is like a keg, only it'll hold 6 or 7 kegs instead of just 1 keg. And those will be lined up in this room on that side of the wall. And the taps will be right about here, feeding out on the other side. So the taps will be coming out of the wall, and whoever's tending bar, me or whomever, is going to be accessing that from the other side. So this wall is going to stay, although we need to put another door in here. That door is going to be here because the health department does not want me carrying our grain through the public area. So this is going to lead to back behind the bar. I'll be lugging 55-pound bags of grain through what will be a doorway here. We also have a little bit more construction we have to do back here. We're destruction, because after this wall goes, it kind of remains to be seen whether this wall is going to stay or not. I tend to think it's going to go, and I think that this wall is going to go I think this wall pretty much has to go, but, and the wall, this wall is gonna stay up until about here. So that's all the we're gonna be doing as far as major interior destruction. On the other side, this door that I just walked through will no longer be functional. The fermenters will be on the opposite side of the walk-in cooler. And the fermenters, each one will be run directly to the serving tank, so we have as little piping to do as possible. And those fermenters will be right along this wall. We have marks on the floor where they were going to be at one point in time, but as I had mentioned, we changed the floor plan a couple of times. This is where the brew house was going to be. It's actually going to be now back along this wall. I learned from my visit to Hopcat that over in this corner there's a door by which I need to access the spent grain, and to do that I'll be using a rake and raking it out, and obviously there's not enough room here for me to put a 6-foot hoe or rake in there to get the spent grain out. So it's going to move a little bit over the side and all the way back against this wall. You might be interested to know that as part of this configuration, which again will be more that way, there's actually a catwalk. There's like a set of steps that goes up here, and then along the back there's a catwalk, and that's where I'm going to be doing all the brewing from. Back along this back wall, on the back end of that, there will be the control panel for all the brewing equipment. I'll be able to access the boil kettle and the mash kettle both. I'll bring the grain in through that door, which is going to be created, and into this area. I'll pop those 55-pound bags of grain, on the catwalk. Then I'll climb up here, grab the grain, hoist it up, tear the bag, dump it into the mash tun. About 4 bags, 4 55-pound bags of grain for each batch of beer. And that's pretty much the way it's going to be laid out. The rest of it will all be seating and bar and such.